Hello, Renata's family. Hey, listen, we just wanted to take this moment to thank you for allowing us to be a part of your life, especially at this time of year. You know, Christmas is a special time for reflection. And as we pause to think about our life on this planet, I just wanted to invite you to take this moment and remember what this time truly represents. Christmas, it's not about the noise or the pace. It's about a promise fulfilled. Over 2,000 years ago, God chose not a palace or a position of power, but a manger. He chose humility, simplicity, and love wrapped in flesh. The birth of Jesus reminds us that the greatest transformation in history, it didn't come through force or status, but through surrender, obedience, and faith. I mean, Mary, she didn't have all the answers, yet she said yes. Joseph, he didn't see the full plan, yet he stayed faithful. And the shepherds weren't extraordinary, but they listened. And then there's the wise men. They just kept searching. But when they found truth, they bowed. God used ordinary people to change the world. And that simple truth should speak to every single one of us. See, at Renatus, we talk about opportunity, growth, and designing a life by choice. But Christmas, well, that reminds us that none of it matters unless our foundation is right. Jesus taught us that real wealth is not what we accumulate, but who we become. That leadership begins with that service. That faith grows when we trust God, especially when the path is unclear. This year, it's probably stretched many of us. Some are celebrating victories, while others are carrying quiet burdens. Wherever you are, know this: God sees you, God is with you, God is still working. So this Christmas, my prayer is simple: that you experience peace beyond understanding, that you feel the nearness of Christ in your home and in your heart, and that you carry His light into the lives of others. And not just for today, no, but all year long. From our family to yours, we just want to thank you for being a part of this amazing community that we call family. So may the love of Christ fill your heart, your home, and your future. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas!
All right, well, GM. Good morning, everybody. GM to that. And welcome to, what do they call it? Christmas Adam, and tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Some more jokes. Anyway, exciting time. We will be doing a call tomorrow, a short one, but still part of the process of staying focused, staying diligent, just doing what we said we were going to do. And what a great example, other than to work when everyone takes the day off, or tries to anyway. Anyway, super excited. I got approached yesterday by a developer for my commercial lots. And so I'll be spending some time with him this coming weekend, looking at some different things. Guys, it's happening. Big stuff is happening. I hope you are tuning your mindset and your what do I want to say? Your receptors. Like, what are you picking up, right? Whatever you're consuming. Yesterday I went on a mild rant about getting off of Instagram and a few other things. So something you're consuming, consider how many millionaires actually sit on these platforms and scroll through them, and many don't. And do you want to look at how many hours you spent on it in the last year? Maybe. I know some of you are strict and great about it, and others of you, it is your kryptonite, and you need to knock it off. Okay. Yeah, there was a movie came out about it's called
Social network.
Social Network. There we go. And yeah, they were talking about the developers of Facebook, Instagram, all these different platforms. They don't use them, and their kids don't use them. So beware. Anyway, the whole point of that is to remind you Your life is your making. Take control. What goes in, a different but similar version comes out. And if you're studying finances, you're studying leadership, communication, you're studying planning. Most people don't plan. Then you're going to succeed. And that's what I hope for you. That's why I keep showing up, is to help you succeed. So if you keep showing up, I'll keep showing up. Together, we're going to crush it. There's so much real estate opportunity out there. It's insane. Right now, a lot of people are experiencing fear. If we were to look at the fear and greed index, a lot of people are experiencing fear, which means it's a time to get in. It's a time to make more aggressive offers, a higher volume of offers. Or a year from now, you'll sit there and go, man, I should have made more offers. Instead of shooting on yourself in the past, shoot on yourself right now for what you need to do. And your future self will thank you. Your kids will thank you. And no one said it was going to be easy, right? It's going to take focus, effort, energy, intention as well. When we're talking about why we do what we do, I went to a networking event recently, and you weren't allowed to say what you do, only why you do it. Now, that was very interesting. And I just resorted back to the tagline, I help people take back their existence so they don't die like a punk. I got a lot of reactions, got a lot of follow-ups scheduled. So it's a very interesting networking thing, because you have to say that, and then you can't pitch at your one-on-one when you set up the breakfast one-on-one or whatever. You have to talk and share stories about who you are and more about why you do what you do. And then if a second meeting is scheduled, then you can make your pitches to each other. That's very interesting. There's about 70 people in the room, all different industries. So anyway, people are desperate for a solution to their financial mess, and we have it right here. Real estate, marketing. Where else can you enroll 10 people and make 120 grand? 120 grand, just a casual 6 figures, enrolling 10 people. It's up to you though. So yeah, GM2, Doug and Steve, Ben, Bill. Oh, 2 Bill in the house. What's up, guys? Francisco, great to see you. Gilda, Heidi, Jasmine, Corey, Laura, and own iPhone, GM. A couple robots here taking notes. What do we have here? GM. Okay, perfect. Okay. Cool. Well, let's get into it. I'm excited to hear more about what Bill's been working on. For those of you who are new to the program, catching the recordings, Bill is a veteran in the real estate world, in the business world, got decades of experience. He's gone through the ups, the downs. He's been all over the country, international now. I heard a little more about some of his international real estate. The dude's constantly expanding, trying new things, fixing problems. And that's the kind of mindset we need to have. You've heard him say it before. I'll say it again. There's no such thing as passive income. That's not it. You have to work for it. You have to try. You have to monitor. You have to maintain and manage. And if you have this idea that one day you're never going to have to work, you're not going to have the lifestyle and the life by design that you actually want. So putting that into proper framework, yes, we can have huge income with very little time, but it's still got to put in that right amount of effort and attention on the time for this income. And Bill has done just that. Diligence, hard work, hundreds and hundreds of deals later, he has designed his life and helped other people put together their first deal. That's one thing I love about him. He's got this way of breaking it down so that people understand what to say yes to, what to say no to. He's helped a lot of people get a lot of results. He's deployed tens of millions of dollars of capital into these deals, put it back, paid it back, put it back again. The guy's a machine. Whenever I call him, he's always working on something or working out. And I believe that's why he can walk around with such a big smile and excitement for life. He's been a great example to a lot of us. So let's give a big warm welcome to the man of the hour, Mr. Predebon. GM.
It never gets old. Too funny.
Good buddy, great to see you. I just wanted to remind everyone too, we're going to be doing a new streaming platform. So look for the emails, the texts coming out because I want to make sure that you guys come along for the ride with us. And we're doing a lot more with the Investor Secret Network platform because it is blowing up. More people are joining, getting their deals done. And so Bill and I will be attending to that, helping more people inside of that network and crushing it. So anyway, Bill, great to have you here. Happy holidays, getting close to the new year. And what fires have you put out in the last week? And because I know you had some deals, crazy people doing crazy things. So we're wondering if we could learn a little bit from you on how to handle those and what went well and maybe what you do different next time.
Well, that's a can opening right there.
Well, if you just want to crack the can open, we don't need a full dose if you don't want to. But I'm just, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, and social media promotes only the good when it comes to real estate, and I don't think that people have a fair sense of reality with that. And so,
yeah, for sure.
Obviously,
no, it's definitely an open forum. If anybody's got anything, happy holidays to everybody, and glad you guys are here on a holiday week when I think a lot of people have. It's interesting. The stores are packed, but the roads are a little bit more friendly, in my experience the last week and a half. So that's kind of nice because I try to plan my day around 10 to 2 because the traffic is just Phoenix is the fastest growing city. There has been some downturn, I understand, but I haven't really paid much attention to it. But we still are fifth largest city, and it's really gotten busy. We no longer have like a snowbird season. It's almost 10 months out of the year. But the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of nice. The roads are, the 5 o'clock traffic is not there at 2:30 till 7:30. Houston 4 to 6. Yeah, no, it's like 2:30. I mean, if you start heading west from my area, anytime after 2, you're going to be at a stoplight more than once. And it never used to be that way. But anyway, so that's good. I've noticed, but the stores and the gym, oh my God, there's so many kids at my gym. Like the parents belong to this club, but then their kids can all, they get a family package, so their kids can go. And I think if they're over like 11 or 12, they can be unsupervised by the parents, maybe 13. So a lot of the high schoolers, they're just everywhere at the gym. So that's the trade-off. They're not on the roads anymore and at school and back and forth at work, but everybody's at the gym, getting in the way. But so if anybody has any holiday cheer to spread, any holiday advice, any holiday stories, what you're doing, feel free. It's an open book here, open forum, open mic, and you are all welcome. We're grateful you're here because otherwise it'd be me, Mike, and Tamara just hanging out like we do every week anyway. So yeah, we're grateful that you're here. And if you've obviously got thoughts, comments, questions, I forgot to pull up the chat. Hi, Tamara's assistant. There goes the word surrender again. Not even the creator spent time on them. Yeah. So shout it out. If you've got anything, put it in the chat, raise your hand, come off mute, interrupt me, no worries. Yeah, for me, it is interesting. I was thinking, I wish I had the week off. And it's funny because take the week off, but but yesterday was packed. I take a lot of time when I have less work necessarily, or some people take work off. Then I do some taxes and some paperwork and some kind of reflecting, note taking, looking at my properties, the portfolio, definitely working with my wife to see what we're gonna do to improve 2026. Not necessarily like, oh, what are we gonna do in 20, but just next year. There is a break and a milestone and a change, right? I don't know if it just, nothing really changes, right? It's just another day, it's just another week, it's just another month. But for whatever reason, we've grown accustomed to, boom, this is where everything ends and this is where everything begins. So naturally you get that false sense of starting over, if you will, or regrouping, or so that's kind of cool. It's not a bad thing. And so you kind of look to see what you want to do differently, what you
Hey,
want to
Bill,
yeah.
while you and I thought, when you did the reflection, what was an aha moment for you that you like, oh shit, I did this, or maybe something you could have done differently? What was that like?
Well, it's hard to answer this question. It's a great question. The reason it's hard to answer is because I don't want to give you the wrong advice. And what I mean by that is I think there's a time and a place to take unnecessary risks. Um, I think that so, but my reflection was not necessarily at my age. I'm a little older than a few of you, but but um but at this time in my career, if that makes sense. So it depends on where you're at. I looking back, I may have thought twice. Like I remember calculating a couple things I was doing just over 2 years ago, who I was working with, what risks I was taking. And I was thinking to myself, well, what's the worst case scenario, right? Like what would happen if this, if these, these bowling pins fell down all the way across and knocked the rest down. And I'm like, well, the odds of that happening are not good, not very high. So I can go with it. Well, a lot of those things happen. And so um, I reflect on whether or not I would take that risk again. And or if I was going to take the risk, if I would have done it a little differently and planned a little better and taken a little more time to mitigate the risk, and or what's the word? Kind of diversify the risk. So so my advice then is, or my reflection, what I'm looking back at, what I'm thinking is, there's you may want to consider, and this is tough probably for everybody in different worlds, right? Different times, you guys have different families, different obligations, different commitments. So it's gonna, I can't really tell you exactly, but what I will say is um there's eventually, like, there is something to be said about a job, right? So a job you work for a certain period of time, and then we'll call it a job. Most people don't keep their same job anymore for 40 years, let's just say. They may keep the same field, and even then that's become um a little bit uh what's the word I'm looking, like even that's not true anymore, because we change so fast. The world is changing so fast, like in the industrial age, in the 40s to the 2000s, even to the 80s, like careers and things didn't change as much because the world wasn't changing as fast. It was simplistic. There was, you had to, obviously you had to adapt. You had to, learn new skill sets to stay in your field and that sort of thing. But it wasn't as crazy it is now. I don't think. I'm speculating a little bit, but so some people don't even stay in the same field. They have to get higher education. They have to get specialized training. They have to adapt it with AI no matter what they're in, right? You didn't have to have a cell phone or even, you didn't even have to drive. I remember my grandmother, she didn't even have a driver's license. Like it wasn't a necessity to go off to work. And so the uh the interesting thing is that when you get a job and you have a career and there's a set time frame and you do the best that you can, you try to advance the corporate ladder, you try to get a little bit better education, you might get a second degree or a degree at all. So you can move up on the ladder, or you can, pivot with work, you get a specialized, so you can stay in demand as someone that is needed in the corporation or the company. Even if you own a business, you have to, buy new product, you sell new product, you have to adapt, you have to improve your technology in your company and that sort of thing. So there's a there's a timeline to it. You think at 55, 60, 65, things are gonna line up and you're gonna be able to quit, slow down and change and retire. And not that any of us are gonna retire necessarily, but you're gonna with being an entrepreneur, you know, we think one thing you think is there's always time, and there really is, right? We're like, oh, Colonel Sanders didn't get his damn $1 million till he was 65, whatever, started KFC. I don't think that was his choice. I think he failed at a lot of companies and a lot of businesses for a long time, was broke many, many times, and finally something hit because he didn't give up, he didn't quit, which we all have in us. We all have that fight, right? But when you're younger, when you have energy, and I have terrific energy, as you probably have noticed in some of my classes or whatever. But there's a time, like I'm at a point where I'm with a lot of people that are retired. And when I say retired, they had a career of some sort and they don't work anymore. Um, they may do things I'm not aware of necessarily when it comes to work, but boy, are they able to really enjoy and they're a little, most of them are a little bit older, 10, 15 years older. So I can hang my hat on that a little bit. But there's where am I going with this? Um, there's a point where I wish I didn't have, like, to get to where I want to be. I wish I didn't have to. Like, I don't, what am I saying? In my 20s, when I was a pro skier, I had an opportunity to go to law school and I chose to ski. I chose to go to Vail for 1 year and some opportunities came up. I didn't know you could get paid to be a ski instructor. And then, I was going to do that for a couple of years. And then you get better at ski instructing. You get certified at higher levels. And I was pretty good. I started my own program out at Vail. So and then the Red Bull, came out in the mid 90s and the Red Bull was like, wow, you can get paid to do these events, these big, back then they called it the Red Bull Mogul Tour. So I was like, well, I want to do that. So I got on the Pro Mogul Tour and because I could get paid more money. And I was like, oh, I like going fast and taking chances and getting there and stuff like that. So let's do this. So I don't regret doing what I did, but there was I was young, right? I worked three jobs. I drank all the time and partied all the time and just did whatever I wanted. But like, imagine if I channeled that energy into a skill set like Michael did in his 20s and had a career and made a living out of it, right? The idea of what I'm getting at is, like I said, tough question to answer. And then we're going to move on to Laura here. But I guess what I'm saying is, I know it's never too late, but if you do any reflecting and any planning, you may want to consider when you're going to have the energy and um, when you want to spend time with your family, because um, it is not an overnight process. it takes time, and you're going to make I'm assuming you're going to make mistakes. For the most part, I think a lot of people make mistakes and get caught, um not to where they have to file bankruptcy or anything like that, but I mean that's possible. But where you get some setbacks, and the markets change. The Bitcoin market changes, the real estate market, as changes all the time, and we're not always prepared just to wait the market out. Yeah, you've got long-term, hopefully buy and hold properties that you're not really caring about, but in the meantime, you're playing the game of Monopoly, and Monopoly doesn't just sit on one house on each property. The Monopoly buys more houses. They get up to four, and you trade them in for a hotel, and then you get another hotel. And it's the same thing here. So you can't just wait for the market to change. So looking back, reflecting, I would say, you want to calculate your risk. You want to make sure that you can sustain. Um, you know, we don't normally care about markets as real estate investors when you're educated and you buy right. But at the same time, when you're playing a long-term game, you still got to be concerned. And as you start to expand into business, into other markets, into other investment strategies, because the idea is you make money, right? You have more money at the end of the month than you need, and then you put it to work, and you want to put it to work, and so it makes you more money. And the more money the money makes, the faster the more that you're making with your money without having to work on it. So I hope that makes sense. I guess the answer to the question is just consider where you are, which I do. Consider how much longer I want to work as hard as I do or as long as I do, and you know, and what assets I want to have that are going to generate like it. I guess an example would be I never really cared about the properties I was buying. All I cared is that I was buying property, right? And I would just deal with it, right? I had the energy, I had the knowledge, I had the skill set, I had the resources with Renatus and the education, and I could handle whatever's thrown at me. But now I don't want to go collect money from somebody on rent. I don't want to evict anybody. I don't want to fix up houses all the time, right? And repair them and go in. And I want someone else to do it. And I definitely want to situate like I love some of my tenants that are paying me 7,000 a month. They're not a problem, right? They're not worried. I'm not worried about whether or not they're going to have enough money to make the rent, right? So you just want to. That's just a simple example. It's not a big deal, but anyway. My question is boring. I highly doubt that, Laura. But I figured a lot of people are going through the same at this time of year. It's time to renew health insurance policies. It has been free for us for a few years because we were making way less money. But now that we are making more money, it's becoming a problem. The rate for a family of five making more than 150K is 2,000 a month, which is more than my mortgage. What loopholes are you guys using to keep, okay, this is for everybody, protected, but to avoid such ridiculous fees for something you may not use as much at all during the year? So if I had to answer right away, number one is seems a little scarcity to me. Um, I think health insurance is one of those things that we have no control over, and you just choose to take a risk, right? But you pay less, you get less, right? You pay more, you get more. Um, you pay somebody else, a health insurance broker, to find the insurance for you. Um, yeah, that's very good, Steve. You're right. So for me, my insurance, as an entrepreneur, I bought this policy in 2012. When I got it, it was the exact same policy that it is today, and it was 600 a month, and now it's 2,200 a month. In 10 years or less. Um, or roughly 10 or 12 years later, it's more than doubled. Or more than tripled from when I first bought this policy. But to answer your question is my policy, I probably could find cheaper, but my policy is a PPO, and it's all over. It's in every state. So I can move to any state and choose any doctor in any field. And they don't even offer, I don't even think they offer this anymore. Not for 2,200 a month. I don't have any network that I have to stay in. I don't have to get referrals, right? I have a uh reducing deductible. So my point is that's worth it to me because in the future I'm gonna need it. Hopefully not much, but I'll probably do a lot more preventative. I'll probably have, like I've got a shoulder issue. Luckily, it's my left shoulder, so it doesn't affect, but it affects my lifting. Like when I'm putting up heavy weight and I'm bench pressing 80-pound dumbbells, my left shoulder absolutely gives out sometimes. And that dumbbell sometimes almost falls. In fact, when I'm towards the end of my set, I have to ask somebody next to me to lift up to hand me the left dumbbell. The right one, I can throw it right up. I can hardly even do 90s anymore because this shoulder, I'm gonna have to get this looked at, right? And so I don't need a referral. I can just go to a doctor, anyone I want. I can look them up and decide who I want. I always lift without a spotter, yeah. Dumbbells are pretty easy, right? I don't lift a bar without a spotter, especially if I'm, unless I'm doing like 185 or less. But if I'm doing over 185 on a barbell, I usually don't do it because I don't have a spotter. So dumbbells, and I use the Smith machine a lot if I'm lifting heavier weight and I'm doing chest press. But with dumbbells, you can just drop them and you don't really need a spotter. But it's very concerning. Thank you. Um, yeah, I don't lift with a spotter, but like I said, I don't use a barbell. I don't use no 45-pound bar much. I use dumbbells a lot more because of my shoulders. I like the isolated arm movement. So where was I going? So I think that it's good to shop insurance, but I would be more concerned with your life insurance policies, your car insurance policies, and your homeowner's insurance policies, and check those all the time, like I do all the time to reduce costs there. And then those you should check every year. And your health insurance, you want to pick a company that fits your needs and really, fits your future. You're starting to make more money. You possibly would be investing outside of your state. I don't know your family situation. If they move out of state, and they need your insurance till they're 25, are they going to be able to get the health care they needed? When I grew up, my dad kept me on my insurance when I was in Colorado for a little while after college. So, I was able to get taken care of in Colorado. I remember, I would consider that health insurance. I don't know that we'll ever see it as cheap as it was before.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just chime in. So
Yeah,
basically, the way
please.
they calculate the insurance rates is, the Healthcare Affordable Act. That's one of the things that was taken away when the government was shut down, trying to renew that. So basically, you have to make about 400% of the poverty level. That's how they were counting those premiums and how much the government was going to pay. And with that 400%, that's when you file your taxes. That's when they determine that with your income. So what's happening is a lot of people was underreporting their income to get the insurance, and the government was overpaying a lot. And that becomes the issue. And now the wake up call is when you make so much money and now you file your taxes. If you make over that 400%, anything above that, the premium, you're going to have to pay back. So if you are getting a refund, it reduces it. If you owed, it adds to it. But basically, that's what's happening, and that's why the Democrats have been, they were keeping the shutdown as long as it did because they wanted to get those back into the funding plan. But it's one of those things. A lot of people is going to be affected by it because it's just with the cost and everything that they've changed. But it's one of those things. We knew it was coming, but nobody was ready for it and what the impact would be.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And they're kind of doing that same thing with with prescriptions too, right? They're trying to recapture a lot of the subsidy as well, right? It seems like the normal prescriptions have changed. If my understanding is correct. Anybody else thoughts on um, what Laura had to say? Though she did ask for any loopholes you guys are using to keep you protected, but to avoid ridiculous fees. Is anybody a little bit more versed in the insurance, health insurance than I am? Like I said, I haven't really shopped it. I've just accepted where I'm at just because I love my policy. I was shopping it, and I got to tell you, like when it comes to and people just jump in and chime in if you've got any advice or experience with what Laura was asking, but um, I know when I was looking at it, I was like, holy crap, 2,200 bucks. Um, I asked around to my one of my agents, and basically they just said, you've got one of the best plans. She's like, you can definitely get cheaper plans, but I didn't look for the loopholes. I was asking people for loopholes. Go ahead, Laura. I don't know if you got another question.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. This is why you have a support group, and I appreciate your honesty when you said this is a little bit of scarcity mindset. I need that slap on the face. I need it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I didn't know why or what was being negotiated this year with health insurance. I couldn't understand, and I asked a couple of people, and they were like, I don't know. Anyway, I was asking like what wealthy people do for their health insurance. I was wondering because it's okay when you are above, I feel like you're above 500,000. I don't even know if people actually have health insurance anymore. Do they just pay out of pocket? Do they just and then when you're lower income, you get the subsidies. I don't know how to say it. But then when you're in the middle, that's the problem. You don't make a whole lot more than what you're getting charged. You don't get the help either. Do you see what I'm saying? It's
I
like
do. I
you're in
do.
limbo.
It's a great thought. I honestly don't know what wealthy people do for insurance for health. Um Steve is correct. An HSA is a great plan. I'm confident that most wealthy people have an HSA. I have an HSA. We've chosen not to use it. We still invest it pretty significantly right now. Um, and we don't use it we're knock on wood fairly healthy and young still. So but that's probably a great idea. And then go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, I have a tip. So I will preface that this is not my expertise. Health insurance is not my expertise in the US. But I have gone through as low as Medicaid all the way through, private health insurance and Obamacare and ACA and everything in between. Back in the day, I was paying like Obamacare like $54 a month in premiums, and it was just as good as the one I had for my employer. So I would definitely look into that if your state doesn't have a marketplace of its own, then the federal marketplace does wonders, and
Hmm.
you'd be surprised how relatively affordable. Now that might have changed because of the subsidies that are
Yeah.
ending in January. But I know for at least particularly for this audience is that a lot of us have S corps or can get S corps.
Yeah.
And if you do have an S corp or can get an or can elect S status on your LLC, you can go to gusto.com, and Gusto handles payroll really, really cheaply. I'd say like
Mm.
$600 a year or $50 a month, and it handles the payroll for you. But they also provide group benefits, including health insurance, as if you were a large company. And it's
Oh.
dedicated. It's great for startups in particular. My startup that I worked for back in the day was using Gusto, and they covered health insurance that way. But if you have your own S corp, that's effectively a startup, and you can provide yourself and your family health insurance through their through their group plans, which makes things a lot cheaper. Now, it's still more expensive than if your company was subsidizing it, but if you don't have a W-2 job, then this is a way to go.
I
What-
know. And we do have a W-2 job.
What's it
Oh,
called?
GUSTO,
Gusto.
Gusto.com.
I'll look into
Yeah.
it though, because I have the LLC, but my husband does have a W-2 job,
Yeah.
and it sucks so much.
I'm gonna drop my referral code while I'm at it, but it's Earl599. I'm gonna stick it in here. But yeah, Gusto has been great. I used them both as an employee and as an employer. And by employer, I just mean my own S corp.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Oh,
That's
that.
great.
There we go.
Oh, that's great. Good, good, good. Hey, little one. Gracie. The dogs are venturing. You can see the little spotted one right there. Hi, Gracie. Right on. All right, so Steve, hopefully that was what we need to do, and Laura, what we got, what we came for. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Feel free to jump in, add any value to that, or you know,
The an extra comment about the HSA. I was looking into it yesterday. I don't know if I'm misinformed, but I understand that the HSA, there's a cap for it of $8,000 a year. But I actually don't know if the cap is just to like be able to deduct that much of taxes from your income, and but can you still like um
No,
contribute
the way
way
it
more?
works is basically you putting your own money away and you can put
Yeah,
it on a growing account.
yeah.
It could be invested, and then whatever caps is for, you have one for family, one for individuals. So if you set up the family plan, you get a higher cap. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now.
Mm,
So what you can do is basically, you get every year, you can deduct whatever medical expenses that you take, like copays, um, medications, anything that your insurance doesn't cover.
mm-hmm.
You use that HSA to cover that. So that's what you use it for. So basically, it's like you saving your own money, but it comes out of tax benefits where you then not only you get to use that money, but you also get to take it on your taxes as well. So that's the benefits there. So
Right.
well,
instead of
the cap is what you can contribute personally to your HSA each year, like and not pay tax on. So
Okay.
you get a paycheck for 10,000, you put 8,000 in, or you put 1,000 a month in, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
do, and it's capped off. So the good news, what Steve's saying is the HSA is truly the only investment tool that not only you can contribute to it tax free, so it's pre-tax dollars, but IRAs, everything else, when you pull the money out, that's when they recapture the taxes, right? So you defer your
Mm-hmm.
taxes and your income inside the plan. The investment tool grows tax free, right? But in an HSA, when you pull it out, you don't pay the taxes on it, right?
Okay.
So it's the only investment tool that you actually don't have to pay taxes on it, and you can use the dollars not only to, like Steve said, subsidize your copays and things like that throughout the year to offset. So, if it's 8 grand and you're in a 25% bracket, it's almost like you have $10,000 worth of spending power, right? If you're in a 25% bracket. So you only have 8 grand in there, but you contributed 8,000 for the year, but you can actually spend, it's like spending 10,000 because you're not getting taxed on it
Mm-hmm.
when you pull it out. And the other thing is you get to use it on anything you deem, you know, medically important. So,
Yeah.
if you feel like you need to go to a massage, you can use those pre-tax and untaxed dollars to get a massage versus paying for massages, after tax dollars.
Really?
So, and lastly, yes, and then you get to grow it tax free. So you can put that investment into anything. And when you like we have we have it in a real estate deal where it could potentially come back with about, or it will potentially come back with nearly, a $50,000 gain, right? Well, that
Mm.
$50,000 gain is not only not taxed, but it's not taxed when we pull it out. So if we wanted to take a
Ooh.
trip because we needed to relax because we were under duress, and that's what we felt we needed, we could take an essentially an entirely tax-free trip with that, to some relaxing beach because that's what we deem is we need it for our business.
So then what's the cap for then? I'm so confused about that.
Well, because everybody would just throw a bunch of money in there every dollar they would. They would so
So
overpay into it, right? It's the same thing with a solo 401k. It's much
Too good
higher
of a
with a
deal.
solo 40. What? Go ahead, Earl.
Oh, I
so
just said it's
so
too good
so
of a
if I
deal.
understand oh sorry. So if I understand correctly, the of your own money, the cap is 8,000, but if you grow it and it just grew because of an investment, then there's no cap?
Yes, imagine if you put $8,000 in your HSA this year, and you
Mm-hmm.
chose your HSA to be the buyer of a wholesale transaction,
Mm-hmm.
right? You could direct your HSA to be on title or what would be on the contract, an assignable contract on a real estate deal. You
Mm-hmm.
instructed the HSA, and then the HSA sold the contract for $100,000 fee,
Mm-hmm.
an apartment complex or something. Then that 100,000 would go into the HSA, and that would be
Mm-hmm.
tax-free dollars. When you pull that 100 grand out over the next 10 years using it for healthcare, it's tax-free. It doesn't get taxed. Like you don't have, there's, when you
I
take
see
out
what
your
you're saying.
401k, when you're taking out minimum distributions at your
Yes.
later
Yes.
age, those are taxed at your income bracket. The more you take out, the more money you're still making, you're taxed, right?
Yeah.
The only good news is if you're still working in your 60s and 70s, then you don't have to take a minimum distribution yet. But once you're retired and you're no longer taking a paycheck, you have
Mm-hmm.
to take a minimum distribution because the IRS wants their money before you die. So they
Mm.
want you to take out all this money and it's taxed. It's
Mm-hmm.
income. And then your income bracket goes up. Well, with an HSA, you take out 100 grand to go on a trip. It's not taxed. It doesn't increase your income for that year. And you made that money through a wholesale transaction. So it goes in tax free, it grows tax free, and comes out tax free.
I'll be darned. Okay.
Yep. So that's why they cap it at 8 grand because everybody would throw $100,000 a year into the damn thing because they would never, it would be the greatest tax loophole ever.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good
Hey,
tip.
Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of leaders retreat back, and I was talking with, Bob Snyder, because again, we're preparing when we don't have a W-2 anymore. Like, say if we quit our W-2s, then we can't right now. I have it, Dave's and company. And so I was asking Bob Snyder, and I said, have you thought about, like maybe having like a group insurance kind of thing for our investors, because we have a lot of investors, and a lot of us don't have W-2s that they can get from their employers, like the health insurance and stuff. But what he was saying is, or was, um yeah, they looked into it, and the options out there for people, like, even including him, that he said he can get like a very, very good insurance for not very much at all. So it's like more expensive to be at the group rate than us getting individually. So that's what he told me. So he has, some, also numbers that actually they were looking, they were working on, and just not cost effective to get a group. Because I thought it would be great to have that. I know some of like companies like that are getting like 1099s. Did you have that insurance options that they can get? I just want to add that.
Yeah, I don't know when that was, and maybe that's changed since he said that, but I'm assuming he's talking about Renatus getting group insurance for Renatus 1099s and found that it was far more expensive and it could be because of the lack of participation or that, it's always based on number of employees within the company that are making a certain amount of money. I don't really know. Like he has 1099 employees, and if you look at our charts, a lot of those 1099 employees don't make any money. So he'd be offering health insurance to people that don't make money. Um, for the it may be that his policies would have been too expensive for Renatus to cover a plan for everybody, would be my guess. But
But
yes,
what
you're
I
right.
was, thinking, it
There's
didn't even have to pay any. We can, like, for people that would participate to that, will pay
there's
the whole amount. Not even like
if you
Renatas would sponsor it, and
here, let me
but it
drop you.
just having that as a group that maybe will be able to get a better rate. That was my intention of that question to him, but apparently, they've looked into it and.
There are companies now that do this. They're freelance benefit networks, freelancers union. I just dropped one in the chat. Opolis.co. They provide premium benefits, payroll, etc. Set up your business entity. It's for independents, 1099s, etc. That will give you again those actual group rates through this collective. There's also like Christian non-health insurance, but kind of group things. I know that's also fairly popular in certain communities where if you belong to a religious community of some sort, you can go through their group, not insurance thing. But if you're looking for actual insurance, check out Opalis. I don't have experience with them directly, but I have seen them sponsor certain events.
Totally.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for bringing that up. And you're probably right there. It is yeah, and like Steve said, if you read that comment, whoever sponsors the plan have to make some investments as well. There, it does cost the company. Um, what he was probably getting at is it just didn't make sense for Renatus to pay because they weren't going to be able to find a plan cheap enough that would the savings would be passed on to the individuals in Renatus. It would be better for them to find their own plans,
hmm
especially when you've got a lot of options you got to offer because people will need different plans. So,
Yeah, I've asked around here in Chicago, like some of the investors that don't have like W-2 employers, and they seem to be like the rates that I was getting from them, and in fact, I, we're actually paying, you know, and some of them like we're paying the same premium that we're paying now. That's not even including what Dave's employer is paying. So that's why I'm like, oh, okay, that's good then. And this is like these are PPO, so you can get your own insurance, kind of like what you're talking, Bill, and that's our insurance too. And we can go if we go somewhere else in a different states, we can get help there. We can find any doctor in anywhere in the US. So which is really great because there's a lot of insurances, like you can't go if you, yeah, like what you're saying, if you travel outside your state, then you're not, or even some you have to get all kinds of you gotta ask permission and stuff before you can even be treated, and or you can't use another doctor because they're limiting you from doing that. A lot of those companies, we can't really use if we're gonna be in different places like you are. So yeah.
right.
And another thing also, like back, with the HSA, like we have like a group, HSA. We got it from Dave. So like early on when we just got, we have this insurance for, a long time. And we do have the HSA way before I even know what HSA was. So, and but we can't, I asked him, it's like, can I buy a property under that and all that? They said they can't. We can't. So I guess it has to be like, you know, um, you have to set it like differently, not like maybe not as a group, or maybe they don't know what I'm talking about. So that's because
I
your
would
HSA
I would check
probably,
on that. I have my HSA with directed IRA, and I mean
yeah,
I own a
right.
property in it.
That's what I hear a lot with people that have properties, in it, and they set it with their self-directed IRA, but not so much as like
Did he
with a
get it to
group,
work, Wanda?
with the group insurance.
Gilda,
88.
did he get it through work?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's why the work is
yeah. That's
controlling.
what
It's
I
just
thought.
like
Yeah,
401k. So if you
yeah.
get it through your work, the work is
Hmm.
going to determine what you can invest it into. But if
Exactly.
you set
That's
it up
yeah.
yourself, then you have the
Mm-hmm.
control. So that's why.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have to, control it, like you set it up yourself, not just, not through an employer of your W-2. So,
Yeah, you know what's cool is what I did is we took our two solo 401s and our HSA and our self-directed IRA, and and then I set up a retirement company that they all own, a percentage wise based on the contribution that they had in them. And then that company went out and bought bigger property. And then the income from that gets distributed to each of those four retirement accounts, directed retirement accounts, self-directed retirement accounts, according to the percentage of ownership based on how much they contributed to the company when I started it. So I am able to not just buy, when you are capped at 8,000 each year, then you have to grow it in order to get into a larger property or a larger investment. But if you combine it with other retirement accounts, like I did, then it has the ability to contribute to a larger investment that has bigger returns. So you can grow it faster.
that's a great idea. So you're basically creating your own holding company for all those
I did.
accounts. That is
Yeah,
awesome, Bill.
I think it's called I called it BS Retirement Investments LLC. And then all four of our self-directed retirement accounts owns that company. And then that company goes out and buys real estate, and and then it contributes to
Mm.
each one according to their ownership based on their contribution at the time. So although it's only growing by a percentage, it's being because I couldn't really buy anything with $24,000 in that account. Um,
Right.
you know what I mean?
So
Because
you created like is it like an LLC that you created? That
it's a
okay,
retirement
okay.
LLC that I
Yeah.
have checkbook control over. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. If you do have that capacity, you could, because right now a lot of the people, they're getting money from like say if I would do it, I would be like, we'll put it like an LLC, you get like 25%, Steve will get 25%, and Laura will get 25%, and then you can put it in one and buy a bigger property. So that's a great idea if you
Yeah, because
if
we
you
would,
have that. Mm.
yep. Sherry and I would both contribute to our solos, and then we would match our solo with our employer match, and then and those can grow much faster. You can technically put up to like 75 or I can't remember, 80,000 now into a solo every year, but the HSA is limited. And so we combined them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bill.
Yep. Cool. Well, I got 9:08. Um, I got another call. I got a few meetings. I'll be here next week. Any thoughts, comments, questions before we head out? And then, yeah, so, yeah, like I said, I would definitely look back and see, I think it's important that, if you can get a coach, someone to talk to once a month or once a week, it's pretty important. When it comes to business, I think that looking into a 1, 3, and 5 year plan all the time, evaluating it. Um, I think having a slate, which are large items that need to, they don't go away overnight, but they're something that, they take energy from you, when you think about them, when they are, like back due taxes or money that's owed to you, just larger items that you have to chip away at, to have that slate, and you review it. But I think that looking back and reflecting and then planning forward, again, I really truly believe that creating a business, I think ultimately you want to own real estate. I still truly believe that. I think, but I believe that, especially when you have a W-2 or a family to take care of, or a combination of those things, it's imperative to, what I believe to be a side hustle is a business that generates money that doesn't take as much of your time. I think Renata's 1099 marketing offers that. You know, and although there is a lot of time commitment when it comes to the meetings and things like that, that's also a choice of community. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that way if you're just doing marketing and you're not concerned about the community. So when we want the community, then you're kind of getting 2 for 1. But whatever it is, it's important that we create a business, start a business, buy a business, market the business in order to have extra money. And then we put that into long-term real estate investments and that sort of thing. I think that's so it's important that you think about, because businesses are risky. Being an entrepreneur is risky. It's not most people aren't cut out for it. I used to think that, God, why doesn't everybody do this? And not have a W-2. But there's a reason the W-2 is as long-standing as it is. There's a reason why that security and that model works. There's definitely a reason. So give yourselves don't be too hard on yourselves, I think, for not being being as wealthy or as rich or as making as much money as you thought you should or would be or could be.
We are wealthy, Bill. We have time freedom. We
Correct.
choose what we do at the time. I think that's
Well,
the most wealth.
and not only, what's cool, Steve, is that you're right. Not only do we have time freedom, but we have the ability to create time freedom. And we
Yeah.
might not have done it entirely yet, or, but we also have the mindset freedom, Steve, to make choices
Yep.
and to fail, to make choices, to take risks. We've chosen to do that. So that is a freedom you can't buy, for sure. That doesn't necessarily ever come with a W-2. So even though we have W-2s or whatever your case is, you're not just accepting that as fate and destiny. You're trying things out. So yeah, reflect back and look, and then calculate risk. And I think you still need to take chances and drive fast, for sure. But sometimes you can do it a little bit better than I do. Right
Thanks a
on.
lot. Thanks a lot for sharing, man. It's just deep. Who'd have thought we'd spend the morning talking about insurance and everything, but it was
Who would
awesome.
have thought, right? That is
Yeah.
funny. Like, that's got to be the most. And Laura thought her question was boring. It's not. It's pretty interesting, at where it can go. And a lot of people contributed in the conversation, so it's definitely something that's important. And it's current, and it's awesome. So this is good shit. I appreciate it, everybody, and have a Merry Christmas. Have a good holiday. I'll see you on the flip side before the New Year, so that'll be good. Ben, good to see you. Yeah, everybody. Any
Oh, Merry
last thing?
Christmas to Bill.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you so much.
of course.
Merry
Michael?
Christmas and thank you for that amazing information.
Yeah, for sure, buddy. Absolutely, you guys. It's girls. It's just great to have you here.
Awesome.
Michael,
And it just
last
keeps
few
getting
thoughts?
better.
Yeah,
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
absolutely. You too. Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for all your knowledge there, Earl Co. Love you, brother. Steve, your contribution, Laura, everybody. Of course, Gilda and Mike and Doug. Good to see you, Doug. It's awesome. Everybody's right on. Appreciate it, Corey. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
make
yeah.
it a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow for a short episode, but we're staying consistent. Got our eyes on the prize. And remember, your life is your making, so design it. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Bye for now.
Cool.